introduction of what Udenna is doing. I've seen that they've gotten quite a bit of news coverage, and it's an exciting company, but I think some of the misinformation, I want to try to correct that today. It's not just a company that's buying, as Richard said, anything and everything. There's a strategy to it, and I want to try to show a little bit of the strategy, and then I'd like to, if you will, show just a 3-minute video, because I'd like to bring along with me Dennis Oy, who is the chairman, really the visionary of the company, and at least the video kind of introduces him. And then I will introduce you to what I believe is a project that I'm most passionate about. I hope I can impart some of that passion, because it's something that I've been working on for 10 years. And it's just doing something, now it's reaching the stage where it's not just a dream anymore. Everybody else is kind of waking up that this is something unique in the country, from our perspective. Next slide, please. Okay, so Udenna Group of companies, most people probably know it. Just one of our partners, Michael Russell, as an acquisitive company, but they most associate Dennis Oy with Phoenix Petroleum. Now, Phoenix Petroleum is a retailer of gas products, one of the leading in the country, fast growing. It's also an importer and distributor of fuel products. And so one of their first and most notable acquisitions that happened a couple of years ago is they led the acquisition of a company called the To Go Group. How many of you are familiar with the To Go Group today? So most people. How many of you knew that it's really part of the old Negros Navigation Group? Not as many hands. Not as many hands. Negros Navigation was one of the leading shipping companies that went into bankruptcy. And I'll make this story as short as possible, but I think it's part of the overall master strategy. Back in the late 90s, went into bankruptcy. We were one of the foreign investors that came in and helped them get out of bankruptcy. But then what we realized is that this is an island nation. And in order to have a very efficient logistics network in a country that is mostly consumption, domestic consumption, you really need to have first control of the sea to make it efficient. You can't have independent shipping companies that are unreliable. You have to be able to at least have influence over the shipping times. And then to pair that with the onshore logistics that is required for the consumer goods industry, that was really the strategy. And that's the whole history of what To Go is. Negros Navigation was originally acquired. They acquired Avoides Transport Systems. You integrated the two companies, and then by the time the Udenna Group led the acquisition, it was more than 70% land-based logistics. It's the only end-to-end logistics solutions provider in the country. And why is that crucial? Well, it's part of the master strategy. You have a fuel company, you have a shipping company that has land-based logistics. What's the driving engine of land-based and ship-based logistics? It's fuel. Of course, a fuel company that retails has to have locations across the country. Those locations match up with retail. Retail needs logistics. Now you look at Family Mart, one of the recent acquisitions. What is it? It's a retail brand that has consumption consumer goods model. Now it fits in with the locations of Phoenix, the logistics of the To Go Group, and then you look at, well, what makes a consumer goods retailer successful? It's locations, which you have a benefit from being part of this group. It's obviously consumer goods, you have to have regular supply of goods, which is one of the biggest challenges, as I mentioned. So you have the To Go Group and the Chelsea Logistics Group to support that. And then on top of both of those things, you have to have good service. Well, service is really the motto of the whole Udenna Group. In fact, the new motto is "We work for you." And I believe that's actually one of the things that attracted me to partnering with Dennis in a more formal way, because I believe all companies are really service companies, but particularly, that's the motto of this group. Enderon is one of the leading service training institutions in the country. They provide international quality trained personnel for the hospitality industry globally. They also do management training. It's great to have that as a part of the unified group to help train everybody along the steps. So you can see how that also fits with the Philippine Resorts Group, and it also fits with Udenna Development Corporation, which I'll talk about next. Because Udenna Development Corporation is really the land development company of the entire group. Now this isn't all the acquisitions But I wanted to kind of set the stage that it's not just random. He's building a strategic platform for growth. And it's pretty exciting. Where should I point to click these? Okay, so a few projects of the DevCo team. You've probably seen a big tower going up right across the street from the Net1 buildings. That's Udenna Tower that had a big helicopter pad on top. Quite a nice building, that's in BGC. That'll be done probably July, August of this year, hopefully. A lot of you have probably heard about a big resort in Mactan, in Cebu. Huge resort, expected to be eventually 800 hotel rooms, maybe in the first phase or 2 phases. But a truly 5-star resort, an integrated resort on par with the quality of Solaire, built in Mactan. You also have an industrial seaport that helps some of the logistics initiatives in Batangas. And of course, some other things like the Go Hotel partnership, but what I really want to spend time talking about today, for the rest of my limited time, is what I'm extremely passionate about, and that's the good things of the Philippines. Ranked very highly for worldwide destination. If you look at the Tholon's Global Services Report, #1 in the world, the Philippines, for talent. So it has all these accolades. Here's the big problem from what we see, and we saw this about 10 years ago. Terrible disaster resiliency. Metro Manila, I won't talk too much about, but there's fault lines next to it. It's also subject to nearly 15 to 20 typhoons on a country on average. There's a reason that Clark was chosen as an Air Force base. It's on an elevated plane, not near any fault lines, so it's already got a basis for better resiliency. And because of the infrastructure, it's set up to weather disasters better. Now, what did the company do to help build on that? What they did, and by the company I mean Clark Global City, your clicker is not so good. Okay, here we go. This is something we have to constantly point out. Here's an idea. So this is what I'm talking about. This is a real picture of what's in the city now. Those 2 buildings are they're pre-certified gold LEED, grade A buildings, already completed, already leased out at the highest lease rates in the country. Not in the country, in the region, sorry. They're literally a tiny, tiny fraction of Metro Manila, Makati, BGC, but in the region, the highest rates. A lot of people said, those areas aren't ready for prime grade A buildings. Guess what? These are leased out. And the other buildings aren't even finished yet, and they're being leased out now. You can see the roads. Those are as much as 10 lanes each way, and we have less than half the planned density of the whole city. Where do you see those kind of roads? Now, the other thing I just want to quickly point out is what's underground. We built truly 100-year storm event quality infrastructure underground. When I say 100-year storm event quality, that doesn't exist elsewhere in the country. That is 2.5-meter storm drains that you can drive a golf cart through. In case it floods that you didn't expect, it'll be bone dry on site. Hard banks of conduit underground for telecommunication, electricity, 4 different water systems. So truly building something that is a lot more sustainable in case the bad things happen, which, by the way, is not something that is just a random idea. Global companies have a scorecard, and that's where the Philippines ranks up poorly. We're not competing here with Makati or BGC. That's not the goal. We're all working together. We're competing with other countries, because how do you get the jobs here? You provide some answers to the problems that the Philippines has when it stacks up against some of these other major countries. So I'll just end with what's actually up there. We'd love to host any of you that are in the area. We have a whole team on site all the time. Lots of things are happening. But these are our first 2 buildings. The goal here is to have sort of a design philosophy that you might see if you go to IFC Mall in Hong Kong. First and second floor, connected retail. Everything else, prime, grade A office space. Very walkable, a lot of green space. Areas for people we encourage them to actually bike to the office. There are bike racks out front. On every floor of our office, there's a shower room. So things that are trying to make it nice for employees. We're also building within the city, first level, sort of entry level dorm quality living spaces, so that BPO workers can actually live in places where they can bike to work, walk to work, as well as higher end condominiums that you might see in BGC. So you can just kind of see. And then another thing you probably don't see in many presentations is we kind of promoting our parking garage because it's not in the buildings. It's under the entire quadrant. It's 30,000 square meter parking garage across the 5 buildings, all connected underground. Very well lighted, very spacious, so something that also kind of separates it. And then before I end, I think I'm just at the end of my time, is the world has changed. Today, everybody cares so much about security. They want to make sure no issues happen. A lot of times, you talk about the BPO industry, this is not a BPO complex. It can house BPOs, but it's for global companies. Maybe their main office, maybe their regional office. They're very concerned, especially when you're talking about banks or tech companies, about how secure their site is, making sure there's no future incidents on site. So we wanted to get ahead of that curve. We built a world-class NOC that uses the same technology that many of the iconic projects around the world use. Smart analytics. For example, if somebody shows up, leaves a bag and walks away, we have 10 terminal operators on 3 terminal monitors using the most advanced technology. It'll automatically flag it, it'll pop up, then they can get one of our on-site personnel to check it out. If somebody uses a key card to the wrong floor, their picture shows up. We have 300 CCTV cameras throughout just the first 2 buildings. We'll have over 750 in the first 5-building complex. Now for those of you future possible tenants, don't worry, it's not going in your office. There's none around that area. It's just for the common areas and to know who came in, who came out. Every single incident that's happened, and today we have nearly 4,000 people showing up to work every day. Any even minor incident, within an hour, we know exactly who did it. We apprehend. There was a small bag stolen. We got them in less than 45 minutes. We knew who it was, who they worked for, and we were able to apprehend them and return the merchandise. And so finally, I'll just show you sort of the overall master plan of the city. The key thing on this slide is that we're really getting inspiration. We're using Jojo Tolentino's group IDEA, one of the world's top ranked architects, truly a Filipino firm, ranked in the World Architecture 100 to number 47 last year. They're kind of taking design philosophy from many of the iconic cities. Chicago, because of its Millennium Park, its green around all the buildings. Incheon, because it's really an airport city. Cities like Singapore and Hong Kong because of their mixed use, diverse, walkable, and connected. And then the inspiration from Dubai came because you see high quality buildings, but you also see some iconic structures. And so we're building that into the site. But I think the main takeaway here is a lot of green space, something different, a lot less density than you may expect with double the road capacity. Transportation solutions that are available as the whole country grows, as expectations grow. You can have bus rapid transit, you can have a monorail system, there's space allocated for that. You can also see, on basically the left side as we're looking at it, that's the railway right away. So when the Manila Railway comes in that connects the airport, its first stop from the airport is in the site. So talk about efficiency. On that side's the railway right away, on this side is the highway. On all sides, it's already a surrounded city. We're planned for about 7 million total square meters with double the road capacity and a lot more green space. So we're hoping with that, what we can do is start to set a new standard that companies may expect from the Philippines. Thank you very much.